Recently, we heard some big news that makes it more likely than ever that Ripple will buy Circle. Circle filed for an IPO the other day, and after the news of the IPO spread, a lot of people didn't think Ripple would actually buy Circle. But a lot of people are missing something very important. In this video, I'll explain that a bit more and also show you a great clip of David Schwartz talking about why the XRP system is better than everything else. Your help is very much appreciated as always. Thanks a lot. Thank you to everyone who liked the movies and signed up for the channel. These two easy things help me a lot. If you ever need a good place to buy XRP, check out Uphold, which is my best exchange. You can find it in the video's description. Now, I'll get right to it, and I hope you guys enjoy what I have to say. To start this video, I just want to say that I'm back from XRP Vegas at last. It was a wonderful time. It's always so exciting to see so many cool and interesting new people join the community at events like this. This was by far the best thing I've ever been to. It's really cool to see how big this group is getting. The growth is very fast. It's getting so exciting to see all these new ideas. In fact, it was pretty cool. I got to visit both Bitcoin Vegas and XRP Vegas, and the change was really amazing. When I went to Bitcoin Vegas, it was mostly miners and a lot of people who were just guessing and hoping that Bitcoin goes to the moon. The talks weren't very serious. From my point of view, a lot of people left Bitcoin Vegas very upset, and people weren't that happy about the event. Most of the people coming from Bitcoin Vegas seemed to think that Bitcoin is moving away from what it was founded on. There were cheers for steady coins and government involvement, which is the exact opposite of what Bitcoin set out to do. It's funny because everyone has always made fun of Ripple for working with the government and backing things like stablecoins and tokenization. These are the things that are being shown off at the Bitcoin meeting, even though Bitcoin can't really do anything to win at these levels. The Bitcoin blockchain doesn't have KYC built in, and the XRP ledger does. The XRP ledger has things like clawbacks and decentralized ID that help with compliance, plus stablecoins, which Bitcoin can't even support, were one of the main topics of conversation at Bitcoin Vegas. But I think it's funny that Bitcoin supporters are now trying to change the story to focus on all the things that cryptocurrencies like XRP were meant to do from the start, even though Bitcoin isn't doing anything to change this and probably never will. I think there is a big split in the Bitcoin group. It looks like a lot of people are trying to make Bitcoin do things that it wasn't designed to do. Plus, I believe it shows that there is a lot of room for these other projects to do well in the Bitcoin world. People who use Bitcoin now brag about how helpful these things will be in the future. They're also starting to understand that if these things don't happen on Bitcoin, they will happen on other chains. It also kind of kills the Bitcoin maximalist case. These people know how important these things are going to be. They know that tokenization and steady coins will become very popular, but it looks like they haven't thought about the fact that these things can't happen on Bitcoin, so they have to happen on other chains. From that point of view to the XRP Vegas point of view, it was really cool to see and be in a room with so many people who get it, right? You should know that this technology isn't just a guess about the original asset. It's really about how this technology will be used to change the way money works in the future. It's more than just an asset. It's new tracks and a ledger that will be able to support the economy in the future we're moving toward. At the Bitcoin conference, people didn't seem to know much about the future of Bitcoin. At the XRP conference, on the other hand, everyone seemed to know what they were talking about, which means this tech is more than just something you buy, keep, and then sell in a few years. This is going to completely change how people around the world handle their money. And it felt like I was in a room with a lot of people who knew that we were all working toward the same goal, which was to replace the old system with a brand new, cutting-edge system that uses the XRP ledger. The meeting on XRP was very focused. It looked like a lot of movement was being made toward what people wanted. There seemed to be a lot of misunderstanding at the Bitcoin conference. A lot of people didn't know what Bitcoin's role was going forward and were desperately trying to latch onto a story that they haven't been able to find yet. But before I start this movie, I'd like to show you a clip of David Schwartz talking about why the XRP ledger is so important. And I think this is something that all of you should fully understand. That's a very strong message. Even though it doesn't seem important at first, I'll break it down for you and show you why it's so important. David, do you think there's anything about XRPL that was kind of intended for this use case for what they're calling tokenizers? I believe there are a few things. There are a lot of problems with traditional finance, such as front-running and being able to sort of filter and reorder deals to take advantage of other people's order flow. One big one is the lack of financial incentives for block production, or MEV. At the XRP level, that's not even close to being possible. It is possible to run in front, but not with MEV. It is a lot more fair and participatory. I like how fast it is and how cheap it is. And I also think it was built for a reason. I believe it is much more dangerous to play in a system that has funding in 57 different DEXs and 27 different AMMs, and your wallet doesn't understand how any of them work because they're all different. The counterbalances on the XRP record always do the same thing. It can't do 400 different things, but it's very good at 10 of them. And I think it's a really, really good bet that those are the things that people want to do. That's why I think that clip was so great. And what David Schwartz says about how the XRP system was built for a reason is the most important thing he says. Was built to handle tokenization. It was made just for stable coins, giving currencies and other things like that. At the beginning, the XRP ledger said, we're going to have a mix of a traditional financial system and a decentralized financial system. No one is going to live in a world where independent crypto assets are the only thing people use. Things like stocks, bonds, and currencies are very valuable, and they will all need new lines to get to them. That is how the XRP system was made from the start. And it's really cool to see that that's the world we're going to. As I already said, these things were shown off at the Bitcoin meeting, but Bitcoin can't even handle stable coins. For the XRP system, this has always been the goal of people like David Schwartz. They knew, and Brad said this himself, that these countries would not just give up their money, so stablecoins were always an important part of it. They are going to look for new ways to print their money. That's how the XRP ledger was made from the start, and it's really cool to see this idea come true. The fact that the Ripple team and the people who work on the XRP ledger got this right from the start shows that they had a good idea of how things would go and designed the XRP ledger to handle what the future would bring. We understand they were right more and more as time goes on. This is yet another great example of that. These blockchains aren't needed for a million different things. To do the most important things, you need them. It's fine if there are other blockchains that can fully do all of these other things that maybe only a few companies or people are doing, but if the XRP ledger can do the most important things in banking very well, it will get a lot of volume and liquidity because it was designed to do those things. Some people forget that we're going into a time when many transactions and feature sets are very standard, and many people are doing the same thing. This is one of the most important things to keep in mind. Now imagine if you could get 90% of the activity to happen on the XRP ledger and make it the best place to do that activity. You would then be in a very, very, very good situation to be the main plumbing of the future. The last thing I want to do in this film is talk about something very interesting since Circle just filed for an IPO the other day. The IPO price looks a lot lower than what a lot of people were talking about at first, believe it or not. The deal that Circle is getting is probably around $6 billion, 0 cents, which is a lot less than what Ripple is ready to pay. When Circle filed for this IPO, a lot of people thought, okay, it looks like Apple won't buy Ripple after all. Guys, I don't think that at all. We just learned that Circle will not offer the same things to the general market that Ripple did.